Hey everyone, my name is EntasG, and I'm super excited to start making New World content for you guys. The open beta is just around the corner, but most importantly, in a couple of weeks the actual release will be upon us, which I'm sure a lot of us are super hyped up about. For today's video, I have made you a tier list of all the weapons for open world PvP. Obviously this is pre-release, so who knows if some of the weapons might be buffed or nerfed or even reworked when the game releases on the 28th of September. So let's not waste any time and get straight away into the video. Enjoy. Now, before I start off with the tier list, I would like to mention that this topic comes down to a lot of opinions and preferences, so I'm trying to be as transparent and unbiased as possible in this video. In the closed beta, I tried out most of these weapons, and I had some decent success with most of them, and I got all these weapons to a decent level as well, so I have good knowledge and overview of this topic. So for the weapon tier list in PvP, we have to keep certain factors in mind. Obviously this is a tier list for open world PvP. This is not a tier list for weapons used in war. Also, this isn't a 1v1 tier list. This is basically a tier list of anything can happen at any time. So I'm taking a lot of things into considerations like 1v2s, 3v5s, 5v5s, etc, etc. So for this tier list I have 5 categories, D being the worst and S being the best. So let's start off with our D tier weapons. In the D tier category we have the musket, and only the musket. The musket is a good weapon when combined with the right gear for war situations, but when it comes down to open world PvP it just doesn't offer as much except shooting a low target in the back. Its slow reload and skill cap to hit consistent headshots puts this weapon straight into the D tier. Next we have the C tier weapons, and in this category we have the spear and the warhammer. It doesn't come to a great surprise that the spear and the warhammer are below average weapons. Even though the spear is one of my favorite weapons to use in New World, it can do well in 1v1s, but that's about it. Also, the weapon tracking is not on point in my opinion. It misses a lot of abilities which normally you should hit, especially with the sweep. Also, compared to other weapons, it just doesn't output the same types of damage and consistency. The warhammer feels slow when using and most of its abilities are easy to dodge, therefore putting this weapon deservingly in the C tier. But this weapon in war is a total monster and I totally recommend it. But for PvP open world, Next we have the B tier weapons. In the B tier we have the hatchet and the sword and shield. The hatchet is probably one of the most popular weapons in New World so far, and rightfully so. It has a very diverse kit. You have two options which you can go. You could go for the more face-to-face close combat, or you could be fighting from range and with throwing axes. And with the hatchet you can output a lot of damage, but it is very reliant on its ultimate passive ability, which is Defy Death. The sword and the shield is also a very common weapon in New World, but it just doesn't offer as much as opposed to a great axe for example. It's also again another weapon which is just much better for war than open world PvP, putting these weapons rightfully in the B tier. Now we move on to the A tier weapons. And there we have the great axe, the fire staff and the bow. The great axe is probably the most used weapon in New World, and of course it's well known by now that it had a big bug where you would do double damage with heavy attacks. And I have no idea if this is fixed or if they are probably going to fix it for release, I assume. But bug or no bug, the great axe kit in general just has everything you need for PvP. The fire staff is also one of those weapons which hit like a truck, and fighting opponents with a fire staff can be very frustrating. But this weapon has a good kit, a lot of AoE damage, and also has the mobility, which is important. Lastly, in the A tier we have the bow, the movement king weapon. This weapon makes you super mobile with its passives, and you can output a lot of good damage when hitting your shots. Also, you have some great utility to back yourself up and to get yourself out of sticky situations. The only reason that the bow isn't in the S tier, it's because it has a high skill cap. Now for the moment you have all been waiting for, the S tier weapons. The weapons which are overpowered. And there we have the Ice Gauntlet, the Life Staff, and the Rapier. The Ice Gauntlet probably has to be the strongest weapon in New World right now. It offers good crowd control, zoning, high DPS, AoE damage, and you have the safety of Entombed ability when in trouble. What more can I say? Next we have the Life Staff, which needs no introduction I believe. This weapon is more than just a squad healer. It can output some serious damage as well with the right abilities and when used correctly with its passives. But its main use obviously is its healing capabilities. And we know that a good Life Staff build is hard to beat. Then for the last weapon we have the Rapier. The Rapier in the correct hands is just an overpowered weapon. You have insane mobility and you can kill squishies off in a matter of seconds. Putting this weapon rightfully in the S tier. Now let me show you again a full graph of this PvP open world tier list. So you have an idea more or less what you want to use in the upcoming open beta and maybe start planning ahead for release. Well guys, that concludes the tier list and this New World video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or disagree with this open world PvP tier list and what you would change. I also personally think that many of these weapons will be rebalanced for release, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, don't hesitate to subscribe as I'm trying to reach my first 1000 subscribers, and I'll catch you in my next video. Peace!